Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, May 21st. We are on the Americas account. There's a little bit more I could do on the European account, but I have a ton of games still to talk about and I need to put the pressure on myself. Let's see, what do I want to trade? Warrior cost, play 6 pirates, destroy 25 minions. Seems like the most odd one would be that one. So we have a 60 and 250s warrior class cards. We're at 2160 right now, and we're at rank 20 right now too. So warrior weapon deck I guess will work for a moment. I've got a ton of news and I've been rather laid back about covering the news today, and I already had filtered a lot of games, so I'm just going to try and power through them right now. Gematsu has an article. Japan's countryside set adventure game Nostalgic Train launches for PC on Steam on June 13th. That's on and in too close together. That's a run-on sentence that could be written better. Alright, so June 13th in Japan on Steam you can get Nostalgic Train, where you can explore the Japanese countryside created in Unreal Engine 4. If you have if you can get it in Japan, I guess that's the part here. This game will not support English, so that's kind of a shame. So what do you do when you get a story like this? Do you specifically just wait until there's another story that says, "Congratulations, we've translated this"? Arguably, Nostalgic Train very well might not require too much reading, but I bet it would require enough of this. And it just doesn't feel like this is like the other train simulator games I've seen too. It seems like you get out, it seems like you walk, it seems like you walk as a human being onto the train, and then you walk as a human being off the train. And you can walk around certain areas. Now, of course, this isn't going to be the entirety of all of Japan. So what I imagine they did is they either created from their own knowledge and their own expertise, like a Google Maps or something. They created a good representation of what was really there, or they made a totally fake representation of Japan, which I don't see a reason why you'd make a game called Nostalgic Train and then make fake representations. A decent amount of this is certainly you sitting in the train, seeing sceneries and flat images out of the window. I'm not sure how much of this train ride there really is. This could simply be one train ride, through one neighborhood, and might stop in Tokyo and start in the far north or the far south of Japan. Or it might not even go that far. And this is the first game from this developer too. I'm talking way too much, however, about this game. Just because it was mentioned on Gamatsu, and that is the one thing I have to be careful about looking at Gamasutra and Gamatsu is the fact that they are primary Japanese websites covering Japanese games. They just happen to also translate to English. Moving on, the Elder Scrolls Online Somerset is coming out May 21st. It's on Steam, so I guess you could buy it now for $29.99. It has like no reviews, and it came out today. Unless I recently heard somebody make the argument that that because Elder Scrolls Online succeeded well enough, it hasn't become a complete and total failure like it kind of felt like it was at the beginning. That makes a very good argument that we won't see an announcement even for the next Elder Scrolls single player game. The only other thing you could think is that ZeniMax is pushing this out, and it's kind of weird that they are pushing this out on Steam at all, considering Activision, Blizzard, and ZeniMax were trying to do something different there. Am I confusing Activision, Blizzard, and ZeniMax though? Are those the same company? They may actually not be, come to think of it. Yeah, come to think of it, I think ZeniMax may not be the same as Activision Blizzard. Yeah, they aren't. Oh, okay. So that would explain why it's on Steam. Apparently there's like no records at all. And today is May the 21st, and it says it came out today. And Steam database has like no records or data as far as how many people are playing it. It can't be that amazing of an expansion because people certainly weren't hyped for it, and nobody was talking about it. Like nobody's talking about it right now even. So I guess I don't have to talk about Elder Scrolls Online too much. The main game is $19.99 and it's rated 79% positive.
Just like you.
Honestly, as somebody who about a year ago played Elder Scrolls Skyrim, I'm not sure I am ready to play the next Elder Scrolls game. I feel like that's very possibly just too much, you know? I could take another 5 years before the next one came out. Next game we have is a game called Bob the Cube on Steam, and I think this is just like looks like a college year project of a game. No reviews. First game from this developer, 10% off for $3.59. I'm not going to say it looks like complete garbage, but it is very much not fully polished. Might just be a bunch of assets put together with not enough polish. Alright, so what are we trying to do now? We play minions and play warrior class cards still. Might be a better warrior class card deck to play. Let's try the enrage deck. Next game we have is a game called Omega Commando. I don't know, is that skin directly stolen from Dead Space? looking at these
Your
and
soul shall be mine.
I don't know, maybe it's just heavily inspired from Dead Space. It's definitely doing the holographic behind the back life bar indicator and shielding. No, it's a different skin. It's just heavily inspired from the Dead Space series, which is not a terrible idea. This is the first game from this developer, 10% off for $4.49. I'm not sure about this one though. Yeah, this looks like an asset flip game. The menus and the interfaces are just too inconsistent for it to have been designed for the same game. It has no reviews, and I just can't trust this. Every day, asset flip games look better and better, and this is another great. Omega Commando is another great example of something that could have slipped by people and looked like it was an actual like AAA title, AA title. If it weren't for the kind of badly thought out name and the bad thumbnail and the bad menu. Next game we have is a game called Nature Calls. Food fights have never been like this. Will you answer the call? What is this? What are you playing as? I think you're playing, and I can't even really tell with this graphics, but I think this game has you playing as a 3D anthropomorphized lower half of a body that urinates and eats food out of no apparent mouth. This is insane. But what's weird about this insanity, and like, yeah, you poop out like pink balls. Like, what's crazy about this is somebody spent some effort to make this game. This is a joke taken way too far. Like, this is way too far. And the other game that they've made is that this developer has made is a mostly positive VR, non-VR action adventure RPG called Xandou, Zhandou.
It's time for a little blood. It's time for a little blood.
Which is VR, non-VR. And it's a simplified Chinese game. And it's a 2-lane MOBA. This is one of the negative reviews. Maybe it's because it's a Chinese company that's making this. I'd hate to have to start accusing Chinese companies of doing what a lot of these Russian companies do, which is just make bad games seemingly just to flood Steam and have bad games on this. Because, like, Nature Calls makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that anybody would spend the effort to 3D animate ridiculous characters. And sadly, a game like this probably will sell. It does not deserve to sell, in my opinion, but it probably will sell. We got a couple people here. Let's see. How are you so good at this? Your rank is 20 minus 45. What in the world? Last I heard, Hearthstone doesn't even have a rank 45. So unless you are up in the rank 45 in the entire world in the legendary, rank 20 is one of the lowest ranks that you can get to. It's like there's a, let's see, rank 23, rank 25. Maybe he mistyped and meant 25. Let's see. Okay, he clarified. I am 45 with a crystal on it on Saturday. Now I'm 500. Alright. Well, you've somehow managed to rank yourself extremely high in Hearthstone without understanding how the ranking system works. Or you're just humble bragging. Either ways. But for the audience and for a simple explanation, rank 20, when you have a flag behind it, is one of the lowest ranks possible. Because I don't play rank that much, and frankly, it's rather hard. Rank 45, or any number with a crystal behind it, means you are above rank 1, and you are ranked whatever that number is in the entire world for that server. You are incredibly higher than me. The reason why you jumped from 45 to rank 500 is because once you are up at that legendary status with the crystal, you have to continue to play and continue to increase your win to loss ratios based on the number of games you have. Otherwise you get beaten out by other players. If you really were ranked 45, there was only 44 players at that point that had higher scores on the entire server. So you're doing very well. And the only way you could improve any better is just to continue to win and continue to play. And honestly, if you're telling the truth on any of this story, which is a little suspicious, the only way I could see anybody getting that high ranked and not knowing this stuff is because they're playing just meta decks, or they're cheating, or or somebody else told them how to play and didn't explain them the very basics. And those would all be very bad reasons. It would be very bad for Hearthstone to have players extremely highly ranked that don't know how the rank system is, or that are playing just default meta decks that they looked up online. But sadly, I think that probably is very much the case for Hearthstone.
Back to work.
He says, thanks for the explanation. I am playing Shaman Even deck. Yeah. There's not a lot of justification for why I'm super ranked low, other than I don't particularly like playing Hearthstone and I don't play it except for when I'm streaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I split my attention between an Americas, a European, and an Asian account. So those are my excuses for why I'm so low. If I really played it all day, every day, I probably would be closer to rank 10 or 12, but frankly I couldn't ever prove or have no interest in proving that guess. I build my own decks and have fun with the decks I build. I'm not here just building meta decks for the most part. And when I have tried to build meta decks, it either makes the gameplay really boring or it doesn't really improve the win and loss ratio much either. Next game we have on Steam is called Prime Mover. It says Prime Mover is an open-ended puzzle game about designing circuit boards which work your way from transistor to processor, uncover the story of Bite the Burden. Interesting. Let's see. This game doesn't look super well animated, unfortunately, and it doesn't also have a nostalgia feel to it. It just kind of feels like it is a poorly animated thing. Let's see.
The blade be thirsty.
I'm just gonna end this turn here. The developers of Prime Mover have made one other game, but like for $14.99 with no discount, I don't think Prime Mover is one I would be interested in playing. And there's only 7 reviews and they're all positive, with some of them being pre-release reviews where they got the product for free. So yeah. The concept of a open-ended puzzle game with a story built around circuitry is a slightly interesting idea, but the way it's applied here doesn't work well for me.
I strike.
This, that, and the turn. Next game we have on Steam that came out is called G Rally. It's mixed. 56 of the 15 user reviews are positive. Let's see, we've had a small rush in the past week or so of racing games come out. And why they all are coming out at the around the same time, I don't know. This game G Rally seems like it's fine. It seems like it requires VR. Or no, it doesn't require VR, but it if you use VR, you need a mouse and keyboard also, so it doesn't have inputs for VR controllers. Wow, the description of this game G Rally is horrible. Every single paragraph says G Rally is something. Like the second paragraph says, G Rally is not in the position to have official license at the moment, and its starting point is a limited number of racing cars. So immediately it's limited. See what the negative reviews say. Most of my gameplay on Hearthstone, by the way, is also only focused around doing the daily quests and getting gold to buy more packs. Let's see, the not recommended review says, I could not drive a minute because of the following errors present. Next not recommended review says, we should wait to sim another 6 years. The sim must be some kind of joke. Seriously, 6 years and it's the worst than 90s Rally. Then the final one says, don't buy, refund requested. So it seems like G Rally might have been a kickstarted game or something, or because it's saying it came out today, so unless it was early access before this point, And see, the weird thing is you can kind of get away with making a really, really pretty racing game and not have the controls and not have the licenses to actual cars that people are interested in. So I severely question the logic of ever buying a racing game that is supposed to be a realistic licensed car racing game from anybody other than a big company like Codemasters or even bigger. Next game we have on Steam is called President Pig, so this is another fake game, just insult game. The political game. Not something worth people's time. And it looks like this one was made using something like RPG Maker. Let's look at, it's the only game from this developer, and they're charging $5.40 for a political insult RPG. I wouldn't be completely opposed to somebody trying to lambast President Trump, but I want to see good quality in video games regardless, and so starting from that lazy idea, you're going to have to put some really non-lazy ideas on top of that, and elevate that lazy idea into a good game. And I don't think people who start from a very lazy thought like that are going to have anything good that they can do, anything more interesting. Politicians and political speech in general is short, abrupt, and not well thought out. It is simplified and dumbed down. The exact opposite of what you would want in a video game. In comparison, if you were to look it up, I imagine you could find some fictional presidents, people in charge of Umbrella Corp, and for example, who would be really, really well fleshed out, well thought out bad guy characters. Like Wesker is the kind of equivalent of somebody that you would want, where Wesker is trying to infect the entire world with the zombie virus or the Ouroboros virus or something. Wesker's always trying to do something blatantly evil and wrong. If there was a real Albert Wesker out there in the world, he would be rather poorly portrayed. But yeah, this President Pig game is literally just an RPG Maker game. It's nothing. Lazy effort. Speaking of lazy effort, next game we have is called Bro Defense. That's BRODEFENCE. I guess maybe it's Bro Defense. It says it's an action indie game, but it looks just like MS Paint graphics. 15% off for $4.24.
What now?
Let's see, play this.
It's time for a little blood.
And turn. This is probably another fake game. Not fake games, extremely low effort games is what I like to call them. So we'll close that. Okay. So I've been teasing the Valve Lewd Apocalypse, as I've coined it, and nobody else will ever pick that up. That happened on the weekend, and in a weird way, it's kind of already forgotten about. And I think almost certainly this was the attempt. Was Valve was going to send nasty letters to Honey Pop creators and several other sexually explicit lewd games on Valve and say you have to take out all the content that we object to, but we're not going to tell you what we actually object to, which is also inherently the problem, is that if they were being more honest about it and telling people what they wanted removed, these companies could work with them. But really it was more of a note saying you have something objectionable in there, but we're not going to tell you. If you don't fix it in 2 weeks, we're going to take it off, which inherently means they were going to try and pull these games from sale in 2 weeks. Now Valve is back down on that somewhat, but they're saying they're reevaluating. So maybe next Friday, maybe in a couple weeks, once it's all died down, they will just get pulled. So it's still very much on us to try to put as much pressure on Valve to say, no, we don't want these games taken off. If anything, I would prefer Valve isolate all the sex games into its own storefront, just a behind the black curtain type storefront that did a little bit of a more accurate age check, where you actually had to have your own name on the account and your own name on a credit card to verify an age, instead of just pulling down a self-reporting field. But really, Valve didn't have to do anything and shouldn't have done anything. So Gamma Sutra has an article here talking about it. There really isn't too much to say from a lot of these articles, because they took, frankly, TechRaptor did a lot better reporting on it than anything else, any of the other people, because they were specifically updating their article over and over again, so everybody would have an idea of would have as much of a response, and every company that had also gotten letters, because a lot of people got letters, and frankly it was a lot of people that had made games that were pretty good. Like, so it wasn't really an instance of them targeting bad games that had sexual content in them that never sold. It was literally them targeting games that had sold a lot. Let's see, I'm trying to find the article. And I can't find it. Let's see, how can I have missed it? That's not gonna work either. I really gotta fix my resolution so I can actually read things again. Well, I guess I'll have to talk about that article later if I even get around to it, because in the meantime I've got to cover so many other games. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article that Orange Games has picked up a majority stake on the developer of a game called Habbo, H-A-B-B-O. The developer's name is Sulake, S-U-L-A-K-E. I assume it's pronounced that way. This is one of those financial report type articles that doesn't really mean anything to me because it's not really games I even have heard of, companies I've heard of. Let's see, there's a game on Steam called Splash, which is a bunch of like poorly animated sheep shooting water, I assume. Kind of like Splatoon. The sheep jump really high, which I don't think in Splatoon there is super high jumping of the characters. So this is like a sort of attempt at Splatoon without the ink painting mechanic. It's a free game, so the price is right, but it looks like garbage too, so I'm gonna move forward. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Doors Push or Pull, and it's a infinite runner, I suppose, where you are moving at a consistent space and you have to either push or pull doors, and sometimes it says use the other door on the front of it, and sometimes the doors change from being just one kind of door to something a completely like futuristic or fantasy type door. Apparently you can decorate it. Apparently this game is also available on iTunes and Google Play Store. It's $2.99, so it's a cell phone game ported to PC. It doesn't look horrible. It's a joke idea with some extra features. Assuming there's no microtransactions on it. It has single player and multiplayer. I wouldn't spend $3 on it, but if it was 99 cents and the interface is good, which I imagine the interface is actually horrible because it's a cell phone port, I could see considering playing a game like this. Let's see.
Who you want me kill?
This return. Next game we have on Steam is called Heartbreak High, a breakup simulator. It is a very, very poorly animated visual novel simulation game. I guess the idea is that you're breaking up with people instead of dating them. Like, even the text is not in a font that's readable. It's just squiggly vision all over the place. This is a hideous looking game for $4.99. And I can't call this an art style. I really can't. I call this a lack of art skill. It's from a developer who's made nothing else, or two developers who's made nothing else, and the publisher who's made nothing else.
Made to
really, really ugly. Like, offensively ugly, that game. Let's see. Next game we have is a TD Ultimate Restocked, which is some kind of tower defense game. Or I assume it's a combination of tower defense and RPGs. And inherently, when somebody's making a tower defense game, they don't have any ideas that are new or original. Even combining RPG elements where you're having to run around and collect coins and maybe upgrade your hero who controls the towers.
I'm fast and furious! In your face!
Like, this game is 40% off for $1.19. It just, even though it is, to be fair, very animated pretty well, maybe they're just all asset flips, which they may be. Probably are, if I was to guess. Still nothing here that would make me want to play a tower defense game. I don't know why people are trying to to even make tower defense games anymore. It's been years since they were a fad or successful as a fad. Next game we have a game is called Indian Mutiny Little Sepoy. Take part of the Sepoy Mutiny, the uprising in India between 1857 and 1858 against the rule of the British East Indian Trading Company, I believe is the full name. So it's like a historically based game, but we've seen this before. Really all it is a kind of Angry Birds ripoff through 2D physics games where your character is in a place and you have to shoot in a certain direction and hit all the enemies. I've seen it done dozens of times before, and it does seem like it kind of is getting to the point where anytime somebody knows they've made a bad game, not anytime, but on rare occasions, people that know they've made a bad game try to put in a historical bent on it, maybe to cause controversy, maybe just to make it feel like it is something better. I seriously doubt that any British people or English people are going to care about the Indian uprising, and I seriously doubt any Indian people are going to care about it too much either. Meanwhile, this developer has been flooding Steam with other games, and not a single one of them has ever gotten enough people to review it, to give it a rating. And I certainly wouldn't buy this game, and certainly wouldn't review it. Next game we have on Steam is a game called Untouchable. It says it's a fantasy-themed adventure game where players wander in a world of fantasy and begin an adventurous journey. It's labeled an action-adventure indie game. Is this in English? Is it English in any other languages? Now, this is probably not an Indian Untouchable character, but maybe. I imagine the name means something else. This is a weird looking game, certainly, but I can't get a feel for it, whether there's any kind of artistic consistency here, or if this is just kind of a combination of things. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer, I think, to get a better assertion. I'm about to lose anyway, so I'm gonna play these cards.
Wow.
This game is $3.99, and there are no reviews, but I think in this case, I'm going to have to wishlist this game and keep an eye on it, because it feels like this is one of the growing, like very slowly growing Japanese indie developers, or maybe it's a Chinese developer. The name is in either Chinese or Japanese. I'm pretty sure it's not Korean or Chinese. There we go. Finally got the warrior class cards done. Destroy some minions now. We'll just do that with some Murloc play, I guess. Wait, before we do that, let's go back here and just make sure that's the only thing we need to do. Yeah, destroy some more minions. And I've been going slow today, so by the time I get all the daily quests done, I feel like I'll still be working to get the news done. So yeah, I'm gonna wishlist and keep an eye on the Untouchable. I can't really make a justification. Next game we have on Steam is called The Outlaw, the Drunk, and the Whore, which you would think you wouldn't be able to put that out as the name of your game. This developer's made about 5 other things, 3 of which are rated positive. Now the animation here is not super great. It looks like MS Paint graphics for no real reason. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see anything that's visually appealing for this game. It's 15% off for $5.09, and let's see, product reviews. There's 2 positive product reviews, both of which were given for free. The reviewers were given the game for free. Yeah. This just does not seem like a... just doesn't seem like a game that particularly has enough of a game in it, enough graphics to appeal, so we'll close that. Next game we have is a game called Dark Sasi, S-A-S-I. It says it's an adventure, violent gore action simulator, and it's rated mixed with 68% of 29 users rating it positively. So it looks like it's a dungeon crawler, almost a little Dark Souls-y, if one was to go down that route. There's some jumping. All the enemies seem to be kind of unique creations, and it's not just your standard skeletons, which there's something to be said for that, but then the unique creations aren't smoothly animated. Like, I'm looking at a giant beast with just a face on it, and then the last scene in the trailer threw me for a whirl. For a second there, I thought this was going to be one of those games that just had enemies that were naked females running around getting attacked, but this is more of just a level of insane body dysmorphia designs in the monsters. Graphics are missing a little bit of polish, and it seems like it would be maybe too ambitious of a game from this developer. This developer also has made about 7 or 8 games, and all of them are mixed at best. 3 of them are negative, so he literally just can't get out of his funk. But the game looks a little bit more interesting than you would see. So let's see what the negative reviews have to say about the game. Let's do this. No, let's do this and this. Play this here. Play this here. Attack. And attack. Let's see. The one not recommended I see is a bit glitchy. The combat system isn't intuitive and is difficult. Graphics ran funky and it doesn't have English option or subtitles. It might come back a year or so when it's been cleaned up. And then the rest of the not recommended reviews are in like Russian or other languages. There's another one that says the game is totally bugged garbage. Yeah, it seems like this is just a half-finished game, which we see a decent amount of that. Half-finished games getting put on Steam. Which is kind of a shame, because Dark Sasi looks like if it was more polished and had 2 or 3 years more in it, it would be a good game. Let's see. Kimetsu has an article. Square Enix has trademarked a game called Outriders in Europe. Could this be the People Can Fly collaboration that we've heard about? If that is the truth, then I guess that doesn't really mean anything because we still have no clue what Outriders is or what it possibly could be. But I wouldn't particularly hold my breath to expect much different from Bulletstorm. Maybe Bulletstorm will be some. Maybe it'll be a better written, less offensive Bulletstorm-esque game, but I imagine the gameplay is going to be pretty similar. PC Gamer has an article. Imperator Rome has been revealed at PDXCon 2018 from the creators of Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings. So another strategy game. This time playing as Rome, which I guess I'll watch the trailer on that. I probably would never play that game, but there is a certain appeal to trying to play as like Julius Caesar and try to run Rome and not run it into the ground. This trailer starting with showing a bunch of statues of the Roman versions of the Greek pantheon, I suppose, or just statues in general. Is that all this trailer is going to be, though? Is a bunch of statues? The marble statues that we know from Rome and Greek actually were painted and had color on them. That just all peeled off, so the way we see them is not even how they're supposed to be seen.
Ooh, the red one tastes like cherries.
There we go. Yeah, there was literally nothing in that trailer. So that was a waste of time. Maybe I shouldn't look at it. Trailers. Next game we have on Steam is called Swordbounds. It has very limited palette colors. Looks like a CGA palette scale, and I don't know why anybody would ever make games that look like CGA. That was not pretty even when it came out. And it's a Super Meat Boy-esque game, and I still, for the most part, believe Super Meat Boy was the alpha and omega of games like that, and this looks terrible. There's really nothing more that needs to be said about it. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the full list of that article I couldn't find of games that have gotten the note from Steam. And I think at this point they've all also gotten the note from Valve saying ignore the first note and we'll get back to you, basically. So the game Honey Pop, Mutiny, Karma Sutra, Tropical Liquor, Ray Lord 1, Kindred Spirits on the Roof, Battle Girls, Galaxy Girls, Roommates, Sakura Sadist, and an unnamed titles from Winged Cloud, Deep Space Waifu, Coming Out on Top, and Forest Fortress, all got these lists according to TechRaptor. Let's see if I guess I will reload this page just to make sure. There hasn't been yet another update. Now, I would argue that some of the people's complaint about Valve kicking off these games oddly seemed to only center around the fact that some of the visual novels were not heteronormative. Like, some of the video games let you play as female and female, homosexuals, transgender people, or other queer people of different kinds, to use a term that is sometimes used and probably isn't. Again, I'll say Mutiny and all its DLC and a soundtrack all 99 cents right now because of this letter. Here on Hearthstone we're done, so we're gonna go back to the European account and do the daily quest on that one. Like, it's nasty, I guess is the right term to say you only want to support the visual novels that push a progressive agenda that you might have if you're basically an SJW. It's like, I can't dance around it. It's SJWs. It's always SJWs that are the problem right now, at least in video games. It's not super conservative countries or people that are saying we're banning those games. Yes, that's happening in quite a few games that have been banned in quite a few countries, but they were countries that were highly restrictive of everything, and they have bigger issues than whether or not they have freedom of expression in their video games, because the people in those countries don't have freedom of speech or freedom of expression, period. The main threat to the Western market, the Japanese market, all of Europe's market, the main threat to video games en masse right now are SJWs, who often make these complaints. And so it's kind of even a cyclical argument here that some SJWs tried to take these games down from Valve and have Valve take down these games, while other SJWs are going, no, leave them up. These are the stories we actually like to play. And we've seen that with, like, Aubrey Hepburn on Giant Bomb, is her extremely heavy push to get Butterfly Soup as one of the top 10 games of the year last year, even though she really didn't have any knowledge as far as visual novels. It was simply because of the politics behind it. And then her extremely heavy, after it didn't get named as one of the top 10 games of the year, her extremely heavy push to give it more highlighting by covering visual novels that were all Western visual novels, none of which were really heteronormative at all, and instead highlighting Butterfly Soup and a few other games like Butterfly Soup. And I'm not saying Butterfly Soup is bad, although I would probably argue the graphics probably are a little bit bad, and the story probably is a little bit bad. But anyways, to try and catch up on this, update 9 on Tech Raptors article, which 9 updates on a video game reporting article is way more than I have ever seen. In fact, it's probably 9 more than I've ever seen on any other video game site. Articles don't get updated much, but anyways, the last update they got was that Forest Fortress, developed and published by Flaming Firefly, informed us they've received an email from Steam that on this issue, as well as a second email to disregard the initial notice, like many devs have. So the thing is, the final paragraph that TechRaptor says, it appears that most of the developers have received the initial emails from Steam, have also received a follow-up email rescinding the 2-week timeline for changing their games. We'll continue to update as new facts come. And then at the bottom it says, what do you think of Valve allegedly mandating changes to Honey Pop due to its violating Steam's policy on pornographic content? Do you think Steam should allow sexually explicit games on their platform at all, or would you prefer it remain segregated on a different service? Let us know in the comment below. as an adult who can buy pornographic stuff, I prefer it to stay on Steam, if not categorized properly. Like, I don't want to have to go to Nutaku. I don't want to have to go to Good Old Games. I don't want to have to go to itch.io and have to sort through all of that. And frankly, as a video game reporter, it makes my job harder to be in different places. We've already got like Uplay and the Battle.net launcher and so many other launchers, keeping everything in different places. And one of the main things of why I imagine many of these people want to be on Steam is they can't afford to develop their own DRM, and so a high target for people to steal games would be the lewd sex games. So if they do go on a site like Good Old Games, which doesn't have any DRM, they effectively are opening their software up to be pirated a lot easier. And piracy, if it's affecting anybody, it probably is affecting the small-time lewd game creators. Every single screenshot I've seen, every single name of these games I've seen, again, it's worth pointing out, not fake games they're talking about. These are as much the AAA of this style of games as you possibly could have. So I could see maybe Steam Direct not allowing lewd games or sexually suggestive games, but I can't see these games being included in that, because these all could and probably did have publishers. And the fact that these letters came out is really weird. Like, it really is weird that these games would be called out when so many other games could have been eliminated with no problem. This was a bonehead move, but maybe on the good side, maybe if you look at it positively, maybe this was the message that needed to be sent to Valve to say, don't ever do this again. This is not going to work well in your favor. People are going to be upset if you do this. Maybe Valve will even get the... I mean, it's pretty pie in the sky, but maybe Valve will get the message and go, oh, we heard you. Apparently, just like we didn't realize that visual novels sold really well, we didn't realize that sex games were super popular. Therefore, we're going to promote them more, and we're going to support them more, and we're going to do right by them as a product. The best comparison you can say here is probably Amazon.com is a great example of, you know, you can get, I imagine, anything you want from Amazon.com, and nobody is going to look down on Amazon and say, oh, you have some sexually explicit lewd things there. I'm a little surprised that Pornhub didn't come out and say, hey, we'll just make a game section on our website. If that happens, because that would probably work rather well, and as just advertising for Pornhub. Alright, next game we have on Steam is called Wheels 2. It's 40% off for $2.99. Thinking it's an asset flip. If not, it's just a bicycling game. From a developer, by the way, that doesn't have Wheels 1. Interesting enough. This is their first game on Steam. It doesn't look awful, but I think it really is just asset flips. It says it has multiplayer, that's kind of crazy. It says it's early access. Again, why does a racing game need early access? There's 3 positive reviews, only 1 is apparently my language. Yeah, there's nothing here as far as Wheels 2 that catches my attention. There is a game, I don't know if I have it here, called Runner 3 that came out on Steam. That's Bit Trip Runner 3, but they lost the license to Bit Trip as the name. So it's just called Runner 3. It didn't look super interesting. I don't know if I ever would have wanted to play any of the Bit Trip Runner games, but I figured I'd mention it. I think I'm gonna win here. Let's see, next game we have is a game called Destined that is mixed reviews. 52% of 55 user reviews give it positive. It looks very much like a Counter-Strike Go map, just designed to look like a Western thing, but it is all the exact same knives and guns. It's free to play, so I guess the price is right, but even at that, it's not recommended review says this is a low quality and boring new Unity asset pack of sorts. I don't think it's Unity, I think it's Source Engine. There's an officially licensed version of a game called Lost Cities on Valve. Let's see. 5 user reviews. It's some kind of card game, board game, not a collectible card game, so looks like it might be interesting, but I'm not sure. It would probably be a lot better if I knew what Lost Cities is. Let's look at the reviews. What are the 2 negative reviews?
To my side. Greetings. I hunt alone.
It says, the first not recommended, and the only not recommended apparently in my language, says plays just like the card game. Only negative thing is you're playing hot seat and there's no way to see your opponent's hand. It also doesn't allow you to change the other card holders to a different IDs, so in effect for names you're playing yourself. Fix that and I'd be happy to give it a thumbs up. So that seems like not really enough to make me not wishlist this, and I'm gonna keep an eye on Lost Cities, but honestly the trailer does a poor job of showing what the game is or how it plays. It seems like it feels like it's a little bit like Ticket to Ride, except for playing with cards and doing a lot less. So yeah, I'll wishlist Lost Cities and keep an eye on that. Keep on playing. Next game we have on Steam is called Hex Empire. It's Hex Empire 3, which is odd because the developer doesn't have a Hex Empire 2 or 1 on Steam. It's a strategy top-down kind of like Risk game. Early access $9.99, no discount. 6 positive reviews, no negative reviews. I just don't see anything as far as Hex Empire 3, and they're selling Hex Empire 3 and Hex Empire 1. They're selling it as Hex Empire 1, but the name is Hex Empire 3. So that's confusing. Well, regardless of its name, I'm not interested in it, so I'm going to close it. Next game we have is V-Tree Beach Volleyball. from V-Tree LLC, which is this is their only game on Steam for $4.99. Looking at the trailer of this, a volleyball game, I suppose, is kind of missing from Steam. Particularly, I guess, because we don't have the volleyball games that are the fighting girls that played volleyball. I don't think those are on Steam. This is just not animated well. I guess I really have to ask myself, what am I looking for in a volleyball game? Am I looking to ogle girls playing volleyball or guys playing volleyball, or am I looking to actually play volleyball? I would say arguably volleyball is one of those physical activities that does not track at all to video games. Mario Tennis on the Wii made sense because you actually had a Wiimote. It doesn't make sense if you're using a controller to really play this. I'm looking at games more like this and I don't see anything. So yeah, V-Tree Beach Volleyball doesn't look like it has enough characters even. But I want to just search volleyball and see what I can find on Steam. Let's see. Play this, and then
Your
do
magic
this.
shall not save you.
And then return. Let's see. There's a game called Volleyball Unbound Pro Beach Volleyball that's 86% positive. And let's see. V-Tree Beach Volleyball is next. Simple Sports, Atari Volt. I bet there's an old Atari volleyball game just called Volleyball. And let's see, I'm scrolling down. Of the 22 searches, there's like 2 volleyball games on Steam. Unless Sweet Volley High, which looks like a visual novel, is actually a volleyball themed visual novel or something.
Mage.
Yeah. See, the thing about volleyball is that not too many people play it on a professional level. So anybody that knows the basic rules can play it, and most people that play it probably only play it once or twice a year in the summer. Maybe if you're living on a beach and you have a lot of access to a beach, you might be playing it several times a year, but you're not. It's not a main activity. And I'm thinking of Dead or Alive, I believe. Let's see. So if I just type in DOA. Let's see, this is Dead or Alive 5 and Last Round Core Fighters. And let's see. Of course, the Dead or Alive series is the fighting series. It's the other one I'm looking for. that wasn't coming to the West. And there's so much DLC for Dead or Alive that yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can look through the Team Ninja games and find a DOA beach ball game or Koei Tecmo games and find a DOA volleyball game. And I spent this whole time saying I don't have time for this stuff, and here I am twice now. I've been led to just wandering around asking some basic questions I probably should know the answer to by default. Yeah, my point there, however, is that the DOA, Dead or Alive volleyball games, are the games that should be on Steam but aren't, at least not in the West. And there's no real competition, if there really is any desire. Maybe there really isn't any desire. The closest thing you could play would be Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash, which is maybe has a volleyball mode in it, but I'm not 100% sure it even has that. Next game we have on Steam is called Seek, ETYLIV, which that seems like that would be a name read backwards, but it VILYTE. Villy T? Yeah, it doesn't read any way backwards either. This is a definitely minimalistic game for $5.19. RPG indie puzzler. It's a one-screen game with a 3x3 grid, and it's kind of like you're walking around on the grid trying to find the enemy or find the exit to that floor or find treasure. It's very, very simplistic, so I can't really be certain, but it does feel like they may have taken an idea and boiled it down. 7 of them positive, 1 negative. The one not recommended review says, bought this on a whim since the aesthetics look interesting. Since there's only a limited amount of puzzles, you're going to start seeing the same ones over and over again on your way to a puzzle you haven't solved yet and failed solving earlier. Repetition and puzzles don't mix. Okay. I could see why that would be a problem, and there might be like a achievement of the 20 achievements that are specifically built around solving every puzzle. But that's not a killer negative review from me, so I'm gonna wishlist Seek ETYLIV, although in all fairness I cannot give it a thumbs up right now. Next game we have on Steam is called Zombie-thon. That's Zombie THON. So the developers made nothing else. They want $8.99 for a very, very busy, looks like a bullet hell top-down twin-stick shooter type game. Seems like there's just too much on the screen and too many different colors for a lack of visual consistency. There are no reviews for this game, and I certainly am not going to be the first. So I'm going to close Zombie-thon. Moving on. Next game we have is Sable's Grimoire, an indie casual simulation violent visual novel.
Greetings.
Now, my rules on visual novels, mutiny withstanding that I bought that game, still say they need to have full audio before I would play them and cover them, because frankly nobody wants to hear me reading an entire visual novel's worth of storyline. This is an interesting visual novel, I would say, because the animation, well, very much a Western, more fantasy style, and not great,
I wonder.
is still within the acceptable limit. So often these Western visual novels are really, really bad, like high school level quality. This looks slightly better than that. It's English only though, so once again you're losing any chance to sell it to the main audience. But it is from a developer that has made several other games, and all of them are positive that are rated. And that is saying quite a lot. Like May 12th they had a game called Tomboys Need Love 2, 88% positive. One called Humanity Must Perish, one called Wander No More. So they've got their little niche and they're doing it, and people are appreciating it, so I cannot complain about that game. I would recommend that game to people who want to play a visual novel. Again, I would cover it though, because none of the visual novel games are fully audio.
Job's done.
So I don't know what he thinks he's done. Next game we have is called Disturbed: Beyond Aramor, Aramor. It is the sequel, I guess, to the free-to-play game Disturbed that is rated 99%, 93% positive of 1,214 user reviews. So it's got a lot behind it. It's an adventure, indie, casual gore, hand-drawn game. They're describing it as a choose-your-own-adventure themed sequel to the free-to-play Disturbed. Now, as a video game critic, when the game when the original game is free to play and then a sequel comes out for sale, that actually is rather nice, because then I have a reason to review the sequel, and then that gives me the backdoor reason to review the original free-to-play game. Otherwise, I would just say it's a free-to-play game, you play it if you want to. This is a definitely hand-drawn game, Disturbed Beyond Aramor, but every single drawing I'm seeing is well done, black and white and grays, and looks like a lot, probably charcoal. Let's see. Let's keep on going. We really don't have too much more, although this, every time I stream, I should be making 4 recordings, and I'm only making 3. Well, it's not really a big deal. So I'm definitely going to wishlist this, and just while I'm at it, wishlist the free-to-play game too. That way I know which it is. Looks like the Disturbed series would be a good game for me to cover in some Halloween month of October. Next game we have is a game called The Mercury Man. Mercury Man is an isometric game in an action genre with some adventure elements. That's not saying a lot. It says adventure, indie, casual, action, noir, RPG. I want to see what this game is. Part of the game certainly is a driving minigame where you're not even using the majority of the screen. Another part of the game is a ton of text on while talking to people. Way too much text. I remember playing a PC game that this reminds me of, where the graphics weren't great and the scale was off. You were trying to investigate things, and it was very obscure in how it went about it, things, and it was just really easy to lose and have to start over from the beginning. I cannot see anything visually appealing though with the Mercury Man. There's 14 negative ones and 146 positive reviews. Let's see. Here's a not recommended review, and it says, "This game is not for everyone. I'll just write down the pros and cons. It's pro, it's well written, dialogues, great soundtrack, excellent game design. 7 story. Combat system is terrible, probably it's playable but not just for me. If you would like to combine isometric combat system from classic Fallout and top-down shooter in real time, go ahead and buy this game, but you should be ready to take part in probably the slowest gunfire ever, get damaged during reloading, miss many shots and die a lot of times. Early game trailers showed action levels in the first person, then they moved all action into the isometric world with turn-based combat system. On release, we kinda get a broken hotline Yammer. Developers said they would fix all bugs and find anything in an hour. That's good, and I think the first week after release, but I don't think that they will change the combat system.
Put this apple on your head.
Let's see. Next not recommended review says the combat system is a piece of garbage.
Put this apple on your head.
And then the third not recommended says 20 minutes in, I knew this game was garbage. I have no idea how so many found this game fun. It's terrible. And I would almost suspect, and with no evidence, that there is a full-on amount of vote manipulation going on for this. Their other game that they've released several years ago was called The Mercury Man, and it too has 86% out of 1,000 views. Mercury Man has 91% of 151 views. This feels like potential vote manipulation. It seems like it is way too highly rated for the game that it is, and just the variety of opinions that would exist or should exist on any game. PC Gamer has an article. Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition is coming in August. The Definitive Edition will make thousands of tweaks and changes to the hit RPG. And I believe that the Definitive Edition will be free to everybody who has the original version, or maybe it's a free upgrade to people who have the enhanced edition, and I think that's probably part of the problem here. Of course, I probably won't get around to ever playing it, so I didn't see in the article actually any news to attest to whether or not you get a free upgrade or not, but I thought I had seen it earlier. Next game we have on Steam is called Entropy 2120. This looks like a low effort kind of asset flip first person shooter. Let's see. First game from this developer for $10.19, and I bet it has no reviews. Yes, so we can ignore that. Next game is a game called Global, not a billboard puzzle game, which the name withstanding, which is awful. The game itself looks slightly better than the name, but it too is just a Unity level, like a Unity skybox with a game inside the Unity skybox for no real reason. It's kind of this weird 3D Pac-Man puzzling game where you're a blue ball trying to eat pellets and direct your character while avoiding ghosts. Yeah, it is basically just Pac-Man vertically. And this is from a developer who's made several games and none have been rated any higher than mixed. So that's an easy one to ignore. The next game we have is a game called Roller that again is just an extremely low effort game. Your ball rolling down a glowing light tube. Still trying to get one victory. Just would really like to get one victory. Get everything up to rank 20 by the end of this stream, but more than likely. PC Gamer has an article. The Prey DLC teases continue to point toward a trip to the moon. Apparently some achievements came out that had some moon related music references. There's definitely some spoilers to the end of the game Prey in the trailer for the DLC, so take that with it, a grain of salt. I think a lot of my problem with Prey and why I haven't been super interested in playing the game is the fact that it felt like it was trying to do BioShock and it was selling itself as doing BioShock, but then it didn't have really an interesting story like BioShock or all that interesting gameplay. I think they may have gone slightly in one direction or another direction where they were trying to design a game that was hugely open-ended on how you play, and it really wasn't open-ended because most of the time you still needed a decent amount of hacking or a decent amount of gun skills and abilities, and so they dropped the ball there, where BioShock you could have practically any of the abilities as long as you had like one ability and one gun that you favored, you were fine, and it just doesn't feel like that was the case in Prey. And Prey's story in no way was as good as BioShock's was. So now the DLC comes out, and I'm not sure too many people are even interested in Prey still. Gamasutra has an article. The ESRB points developers to the IARC ratings as it looks to phase out its short form option. So the Entertainment Software Rating Board, the ESA, which is where all Western games get their ratings, all the ratings for video games in the United States get their ratings. Now, you don't need a rating particularly to sell a game online, but it helps. You do need a rating for the most part to sell a game on consoles, or have those games sold in store. So theoretically, even if you got the new rating from the IARC, maybe some stores wouldn't take it. But ESA before had the short form option where you just clicked a bunch of boxes and they gave you a rating that you specifically could only use to sell your games online. That's how a lot of games had these ESRB ratings on their Steam pages, and you know that they didn't pay any money. The IARC, which is the International Age Rating Coalition, is a storefront specific rating option and is currently only supported by the Nintendo eShop, Google Play, Oculus Store, and Xbox. So while PlayStation support is expected soon, developers are currently not able to use the IARC ratings program to grab an ESRB or PEGI or USK or other regional board rating for platforms that are not included in listings, which specifically includes
Put this apple on your head.
knows that includes PC for whatever PC is worth. Again, maybe you need a rating, maybe you don't. Of course, it is still very possible to just lie. Let's see.
How long can this go on? How long?
Here's a quote. We expect that ESRB rating solution will be available to all developers of console download games at no cost to them without interruption, said an ESRB representative. Despite what some developers may have heard, we do not yet have a hard date for when the ESRB short form process will be retired. We will be providing the developer community with concrete updates. So they're phasing it up, but they don't have and getting an ESRB rating is not just a matter of a few dollars. It could be several hundred, several $1,000s that you very possibly would not have if you are a small-time indie video game developer. So this is not great news, but I don't know how bad of a news it is. There's another game on Steam called Two Inns at Miller's Hollow. Let's see what this is. Is this a good game or is this a garbage game? It's a garbage game. It's a strategy RPG, indie casual. Graphics look like garbage. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Next game on Steam we have is called Attack of the Killer Furries, and despite what you think, it doesn't seem like it's human beings in furry suits, but maybe it is. And you're shooting at it kind of seems like it's animals, which this gets right back to a animal killing, animal cruelty simulator. Let's see, it's from a developer who's made a bunch of low effort offensive games, but I am not going to be the voice of censorship, so I'm not going to flag them. PC Gamer has Anti-Gate Gravitator, the Wipeout style racing game with no speed limit, launches in June. So I will keep an eye out for that game, Anti-Graviator, and wishlist that. And let's come back here and see if we've done everything. Yes, we have. There's a hidden object game called Elixir the Immortality 2, the League of Immortality. Out. It's looks like a fine hidden object game. Unfortunately, like all hidden object games, it's $9.99. There's really nothing more that needs to be said about that. Once they're cheap, I'll get and play almost any hidden object game, but I'm not gonna pay $10 for one. The Wild Guns Reloaded developer is working on a second remake project, so that's reminded me I'd like to play Wild Guns Reloaded. The other games that are speculating would be the Ninja Warriors. Let's see. It would be a Tango project. No, they're saying Tango Project has already made remakes for the Ninja Warriors, Wild Guns, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition from 1995, and Mobile Suit Gundam Endless Duel, the 1996 game. The only other title developed by Tango Project before Wild Guns Reloaded was the Xbox 360 game Omega 5 in 2008. So, frankly, they could be remaking any game from any time, and we just would not really know. And just close all those. And now I'm at the Humble store. And what do we have? Any new Humble games? The Hooked on Multiplayer Humble Bundle. I think I've already talked about it. It's got 7 days. Yeah, nothing really super interesting as far as that bundle. I'd be more interested in buying the Cosplay 2.0 ebook bundle. And the War Games bundle's still going on, so nothing at the Humble store really. I have like 2 games at the Humble store that I have not bothered to get keys from. That's such a like that's such a like drop. I've been just so busy. And before we finally wrap up, nice to see a couple people come on the chat. Nice to see a new person come on the chat. We're looking at Twitter, and did anything hugely happen on Twitter today, on this Monday? Video Game Museum in, I believe, Frisco, Texas, has a picture of a Marlboro Atari Lynx system that was sold in Germany. A cigarette branded Atari game. Like, the one thing I could expect to happen on this Monday would be if Valve Steam did something more. Like, there's a PC Gamer 2 hours ago article that says Valve rolls back crackdown against sexual content on Steam. Valve apologized for the confusion and says the games that are questioned will be re-reviewed for compliance. Which is not to say that they've it's not to say that everything is out of the order. Let's see. One game was briefly removed and restored in August 2017 with a mandatory censor bar. I believe that was House Party. So yeah, this article's not really saying anything new, and that would be the one thing. This would be the one story that, if something had happened, it would have either been reported by PC Gamer, or it would have had to happen in the 2 hours between that article coming out and this. I still have I still am having a lot of trouble with Twitter just putting articles out of chronological order. TechRaptor has an article, the Korean visual novel My Girlfriend is a Mermaid is coming to Switch, which that's certainly interesting. As Sony has said, they're not going to support the Vita anymore. There's certainly going to be a case for many visual novels to of all kinds going to the Switch. And certainly on my channel, the Star Wars month is coming and going with a kids Star Wars game and The Force Unleashed airing. PC Gamer has sometimes games just disappear for Steam. Here's 10 reasons why. I think there's probably not 10 reasons why games would disappear. I think it falls down to like 3 licenses being pulled by the publisher and being kicked off by Valve for some reason. I can't think of a 4th reason why games would disappear from Steam. Inherently, though, most games that disappear from Steam still are available for people who purchase them. Episode 902 of Hearthstone aired 4 hours ago on my channel, so give it 3 more months and we'll be over the 1,000 mark. E3 is coming, so in a few weeks. That certainly explains why we should have less and less announcements of real merit come out, but we probably won't see too much of an increase or decrease in games just randomly getting put on Steam. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 Episode 5 aired 5 hours ago on my channel. New Battlefield 5 teaser appears to confirm World War II setting. Let's see. YouTube is still tweeting a lot of people who are happy with YouTube while ignoring the vast majority of people who are unhappy with YouTube, which is not a strategy that's going to work at all. Like, that's a strategy that doesn't even work if 5% of your customers are unhappy and 95% are happy. You still need to pay attention to the 5% that are unhappy. Peg Episode 5, which has got to be the last episode for that series. I seriously doubt I went 6 episodes on that. That aired on my channel 6 hours ago. I'm just scrolling down just to see if something different appears. The Myst Kickstarter has been well funded, but they're pushing to go to a full 1,000% overfunded, which, man, they set their numbers probably too low, but who cares? Star Wars The Clone Wars Republic Heroes number 8 aired 7 hours ago on my channel. The SEC created a fake cryptocurrency site to warn investors against ICO scams, which are initial coin offering scams, which are illegal. There's a ROM hack for Mario 64 that makes the game completely different. I'm sure there's many of those. That's why I didn't bother talking about it. I don't cover ROM hacks per se because it's not an easy to find, safe product to use. It's just kind of out of my purview in the first place. Apparently, Quad Fighter K launches May 31st. It looks like a weird Galaxia clone. Suppose the royal wedding happened. That has nothing to do with video games, so I didn't talk about that. Bunch of political things came and went, and none of that really seemed to matter. And I'm fairly certain I don't need to scroll down anymore. I spent the extra time checking my Twitter feed when I started, and yeah, there just wasn't any new news. So that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out. When you subscribe, click that notification bell for any chance whatsoever of getting notifications. Also, you probably need to friend and follow me on several other social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, and friend me on Steam and Battle.net while you're at it. All of those links are down below in the description. And then if you want to support me even further, gift me a game or a gift card on Steam. The Steam Summer Sale is supposed to happen mid-June, and I could certainly use all the help I can to get more games to cover and have more options. That's it for this stream. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.